Just a reminder of the 6 most dangerous things at sea: wind farms, storms, the chamois, rocky headlands, dragging your anchor, and ships that pass in the night. Well, it's 8:30, 20 to 9 in the morning, and it was a difficult night. We carried on just very slowly, travelling all night in the generally northerly direction, and if the camera can see me from there, it should be okay. So yeah, there was a lot of shipping in the night. Came very close. One ship passed me on this side. Oh, that was pretty scary. They were about, I would say, 60 meters away. Great big one. The one that came here from behind, came up behind, I didn't hear until it was right alongside, and it was probably 25 meters away, and very scary, and big waves came off the back of it. I don't know if they saw me or not. Hopefully they did. I got a radar, the reflector, high up the mast, so I was hoping that they might be able to pick that up. But we've had fog and no moon, so there's no visibility really. So at the moment we're cruising on a bearing of 30 degrees, designed to take me as close to the wind as I can really, and therefore as close to the shore of England as I can. Hopefully to pick up some mobile coverage so I can just send my position and a little message to my loved ones to say that I'm alright. I won't be telling them anything about the ships in the night or the wind farms or anything like this. Believe me, they don't know anything about this. They'll have to watch it on the videos. It's a nice morning, the sun's shining. We've got a reasonable 8 or 9 knots of wind, breeze you would call it, just enough to get the boat going to about 4.5 knots. So we're covering some ground, hopefully enough to touch land and clear the Bristol Channel. We're trying to clear the Bristol Channel, and then we'll have some ferry crossings to get through before it becomes all plain sailing up to Anglesey. So I'm hoping to do that in the daytime, not in the night time. Hopefully today. If we keep on trucking like this, we could get through the worst of it today, hopefully.
sailing by itself, nothing holding the tiller.
Morning, and got the same beautiful sunrise. We've got a strange rainbow effect on the back here. Must be a bit of wet weather there. Well, we're becalmed now. I've been becalmed for about an hour or so. It's really a most frustrating point of sailing. And the mainsail tends to thrash from side to side, and it frightens the life out of me that something's going to get damaged. I could take it down, but if I do that, then what normally happens is it'll blow up suddenly, and then I'll have to put it up suddenly. And it's not very safe really to go on the foredeck. I don't like to go on the foredeck if I don't have to. So I'm really just hoping it doesn't thrash around too much. And the clouds are nice to look at. That's about all there is to do here out at sea. It's quite hot in the sun, and I'm keeping out of that because I don't want to get too burnt. I'm already pretty dried up. My mouth is I'd like to keep that out of the sun and the wind. Yeah, so all we can do is wait and hope we haven't lost too much ground, because the currents are very strong in the St. George's Channel, and you can lose as much as you gained if you hang around too long like this. We're only about 40 miles from Anglesey, and so it's a shame to get stuck so close. There's always a good reason for everything, and so I'm sure there'll be a timing issue. I'm a little bit frightened of what awaits me at Anglesey, because I've got to go round Anglesey, and I don't have a chart of the area. I have very poor level charts, hoping that I can pick up a phone chart. I can get some phone service around there, and then to try to find out what to do about Port Penrhyn, which doesn't seem to have any water in it at low tide. So how does one deal with this? I'll have to phone them up and find out. I can't phone them because there's no service anywhere, and so there we are. I'm just going to do my update, the captain's log, if you like. We've been parked up 25 nautical miles southwest of Holyhead and Anglesey, and there's just no wind at all, and the current's moving me and moving me back up, so I'm well out from shore because I don't want to be drifted with the current onto the rocks or anything like that. And hopefully when
the wind comes up again, I can get closer to Holyhead, because I feel that I'm going to have to pull into Holyhead and stop there and take it from there, really. Try to get into a place, maybe there's a berth there that I can put into, that I can pay for, and then I can make a few telephone calls and decide what to do next. I might even be able to take a bus from there to Bangor and go and visit about Sarah and so on, and talk to the people there about what the best thing is. Because I didn't realise it, but if you, in the Cruising Association handbook, which I have here, there's a map or a chart of the whole of the Menai Straits, including Port Penrhyn. And Port Penrhyn, it shows as minus so many meters, which means it's like dry, completely dry. It's low tide, and there's only a little strip of water that's going through the Menai Straits, goes for miles, that's wet, and if you had a boat on the mooring there, it'd be miles from the harbour. I don't know whether it's suitable or not. I'm going to have to have a look and find out what's going on. And maybe I need to look at Holyhead anyway, because Holyhead, you can enter Holyhead in any conditions, so no state of tide, it's a proper harbour. I don't know how busy it is or what it's like, so it'd be good to find out. And to get in there I have to get through the breakwall. I don't even know where it is. My chart plotter doesn't show where it is, and so I've got the waypoint entered. I've entered the waypoint into the chart plotter, which is right on the entrance, so I can at least take my bearing from there. I know I can get to that waypoint, and I should be able to look straight in to the harbour at that point, and should be able to just sail due south-west into the harbour from there, hopefully. But it's only 25 miles. Most people will start the engine and drive there, but I don't know how much fuel I've got. I didn't actually, I checked that I'd used about half a tank of fuel before I left. I didn't put any more in, and I might have used half of that. So I don't really want to go start using more fuel until I'm right at the entrance, and I don't mind using what fuel I've got left, because then I have to fill up when I get there. Starting the engine, I haven't tried starting the engine. I've been running the navigation lights. Last time I had I flattened the battery, I had the navigation lights and the masthead light on. Quite often it's the masthead light that is a bright one, and hopefully these navigation lights won't flatten the battery. If they do flatten the battery, I've got two other batteries, so I'm not so concerned, but it'd be nice if the battery still started the engine after using the navigation lights all night, 2 nights running. It would be good to know that it could do that. But the only way you can find out is by trying these things. And I feel that my particular lack of knowledge about sailing is this particular tidal nature of the English coast, and the currents involved with all these channels, these big channels between the continent and multiple islands and so on. It causes a lot of current flow. These currents are flowing sometimes 3.5, 4 knots, and so you can be doing 2 knots in one direction, but actually going 2 knots in the opposite direction, depending on the current flow. And so I'm not used to that, and how to get used to it, you have to actually sail with it. And then entering these difficult places like the Menai Straits and harbours which dry out, I'm frightened to death of it, you know, because I mean, you could drive in, the water go away, and there you are, you're stuck. And so I have to learn how to deal with this too, because in the Pacific you just throw your anchor down, you don't worry about the tide goes in, the tide goes out, but it doesn't drop enough. There's no sandbanks and it's not, it's deep water, you know, the water goes down deep quickly, whereas here you've got these long flats and the sea can go out for miles. I can remember when I was a kid we went to Southport and we saw the sea in the distance. We thought, yeah, we'll go for a swim. And we walked and we walked and we walked and we walked, and it just got further and further and further away. And I think it must have been miles and miles and miles away. We never got to the sea, but we walked for hours. But we never got to the sea. We never had that swim. Never saw the water, only in the distance. And so it's a peculiar place, England, for that. And I'm not so sure whether I like that. I don't know whether I don't know whether I want the boat to be in a place where this water disappears all the time. I don't know. How do you deal with that? That sounds to me like a major inconvenience. So let's check out Holyhead, see what that's like. And maybe we can talk to a few people there and try to find out what other place might be suitable. Because, well, I don't know. We have to go and see about Sarah. That's the first thing. Find out about Sarah and take from there, I suppose. If we're doing Sarah straight away, then it's quite easy decision. I'm just going to put this boat on the hard, get them to haul it out, put it on the hard, right next to Sarah, so I can work on her. Move Sarah right where she's going to be, move the two boats together, and I can work on both of them. That's the plan. I hope it makes sense. My fear of shallow water, you have no idea how uncomfortable it is to be on a boat, how dangerous it is to have a boat go on its side. You know, I saw some places where you could have gone down and it wasn't just flat, it was like this. And so if you got it the wrong way round, your boat could be upside down. You know? That's how dangerous this stuff is. It won't happen to me because I'm lucky. That didn't happen to me last time because I just went just off it, boom, onto the flat bit, but it was like this. But if I'd have caught it on the angle, that would have been me done. I could have put my anchor down, thinking that was in the channel, and just drifted over, and boom, like that. So dangerous. Boys of English drying out. It's very boring being without wind, but it does give you a chance to think and look, maybe a moment to pause, reflection on what we do next. It's a bit of a responsibility to have a boat at sea. You can be at sea and you've got to watch out that you don't run into land, but then there comes a time when you've got to choose your bit of land and you've got to get off the open sea into a safe harbour. We just need one good one really, where we can hold up and then we can learn this whole area from that good place. Maybe Holyhead's there, I don't know, maybe I could learn it from Holyhead. I have to ask them, see what they think. I could spend some more weeks messing around before going on to Sarah, you know. I could actually establish myself there and get used to coming in and out of harbours and try to find a way to the Menai Straits and learn about tidal flow and tide times and stuff like that. But at the moment I can't even look at the tides because my phone is out of service. The tide table has to get service for me to get the tides. So I don't even know what high and low water is or anything really. And it's not good enough around here. It's okay in the Pacific, it doesn't matter. But here it's absolutely essential that you know what the tides do at all moments. It's something that you have to become used to thinking about. I'm not used to thinking about the tide, but you're forced to when you find yourself going backwards and you look at the chart plotter and you think you're going one direction, it says you're going another direction. Your speed over the ground is vastly different to what you think you're doing from the wind and everything, then you know there's something going on with the water. something for beginners to consider. You know, that it's necessary in English waters to know about tides and tidal flows and so on. So I hope I've spelled out the dangers. I'm experiencing the dangers myself, but I'm cautious, and I always err on the side of caution. I'm as far away from land as I can possibly be at the moment. Not that far actually, it's only 10 miles over there. 10 miles at 3.5 knots. You could be onto the rocks in 3 hours. So it's necessary, and if there's no wind you're a sitting duck, because there's nothing you can do except start your engine, of course, which I will only do in emergency. So we just wait. The wind comes. The wind is probably going to come from a new direction. It's probably what this is all about, some kind of change. And it's just started to rain now. So might be the only thing to do is have a sleep. Sleeping in the rain is a good thing to do. Okay. Just see, I don't know if you can see the rain on the water. Be calm and raining. That rattling, that's the main sheet being pulled by the boom. Drives me nuts. There it goes. Try to cover it up, soften it a bit. Very annoying.